rafters and stuff that are left over. So, making the bricks. Now on this piece here, I'm going to have it as a plastered wall over top of the brick. So what I want to do is basically just shave a little bit of this down, maybe 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so usually I use a knife like this. Now, I do have a Dremel. I used to use a Dremel quite a bit, and they work kind of good. You can router it down, but I mean, it kind of makes a mess, and in a sense, it's, well, you don't really need it. It all depends on how perfect you're doing. Now, I'm making it as if the plaster has crumbled and fallen off the wall. Okay, so I kind of do it in a pointy up to the top, and then a big splat down to the bottom. And at the top, I do it the opposite. I'll have it kind of, you know, big and flat up at the top here, down to a little point. I basically want to go down about 1/16 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch. About the thickness of what you would envision plaster on this brick wall to be. Okay? Now, let me see what I've done there. Okay, I've just shaved that down a little bit. I'm going to add one more here, just in the middle, just to kind of show you all three type patterns that I use quite often. Okay, sorry for the dead air. The other thing I'll have to show you here on the next video that I'll do is how to make the coating mixture, because of course you can't just paint styrofoam with your paints. It just doesn't work right. You need to have some sort of plastery type coating on it. So I'll show you how I make my coating mix. Okay, so now it's made a bigger one there right in the middle, and that'll look really good. Okay, on the inside, I'm not going to worry about it yet. We'll maybe do something different on there. Okay, so now inside these little areas here, I'm going to make it a brick effect. So what I'll do is I'll take my knife and I'll basically carve in another 1/8 of an inch. Okay, and what I do is I do the horizontal lines first. Okay, now I'm making these ones so. Yeah, well, actually, they're all kind of random here right now. About 3/16 of an inch, or metric-wise, looks like about 3 mils, 4 mils thick. But I've discovered that, you know, especially with gaming terrain like this, that yes, scale matters to a certain extent, but everybody's style of building is different. And I've seen ones that are just, I mean, they look kind of like well-drawn cartoons. Are really good, hey? But scale-wise, nowhere near proper scale. You know, like we're not building model railroad here. If you're doing model railroad, of course, you know, you're going to pay more attention to scale. So now I've got my lines in here. You can't see them. I'm going to use a pencil, and I'm going to go over my lines. And it basically what this is doing is giving you the effect of grout lines. Okay. You got to bear with me for a minute here as I do these lines. And again, I'm just doing these inside these little indentations that we've carved into the foam. Last one. Okay. Can you see what we've done there? Camera's too far away. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to do the other little lines. This foam seems to have a grain on it, okay? Some going either one way, you can use the pencil and just carve into it, and here, I'll show you. Okay, on this piece here, if I go sideways, the pencil actually makes really nice lines, okay? See that? Carves in really good. Now if I go the other way, it just doesn't quite, you know what I mean? It's got a grain to it. That's why I always cut my lines first, because you know, you never know which way you've got your piece of foam, and one way you can do it, and the next piece that's stuck onto it you can't, and you end up mussing it up on yourself. So anyways, always cut your lines. Doesn't take that long anyways. The other method of doing bricks is to A lot of people use that, you know, white foam board. I don't have any here because I hardly use it anymore. I like this stuff. The white foam board, and then what they'll do is they'll cut out little squares of paper, or you know, like cardboard, hard card, about the thickness of you know, sports card type paper, and they'll glue on little bricks onto there, and then when you coat it with your plaster, it looks really good. I find this method, you know, nice and fast. This really doesn't take long to do a nice, you know, bricky type effect, and well, hey, time is money, you know. If you're making these commercially, like I used to, you know, you want to be able to do it really quick. The other method I've used is, you know, like press the bricks in with a square. It well, it works pretty good, because I mean that's what I did on this. Okay, on this ridge here, I actually used one of those barbecue lighters. You know, they've got the long 6-inch sparky thing for lighting your barbecues. Okay, well I broke the metal square piece off on that because it was thin metal, and I just stamped those bricks out using it. But I mean, it works really good. If you're doing a big wall or a castle or something where you know, you want it all detailed, I like the pencil and the cut line method. Okay, can you see those bricks in there now? Okay, so when we coat that with our plaster, it'll look really good. Do both pieces that you're going to stick together before you stick them together onto your board, because it's a lot easier to do it while it's by itself. Okay. This piece that I broke here, I'm going to have it like this so that you know, the window is kind of shown a little bit. Okay. Like it broke off the window. And these little pieces that I'm crumbling off here, hang on to those, because we'll use those for you know, crumpled bricks in a corner of the room later. Okay. So there's our window area. This little square that I've cut off will just fit in there, kind of like that, and it'll give us a broken wooden window. I'll probably end up cutting one of the panes on this thing anyways. Okay, so I'm just going to put some bricks on this other piece, and I'll be right back. Okay, back. What you missed me gluing in the window and fixing that little divot there. The window I used was that plastic fencing stuff. It's kind of handy. You can make all kinds of stuff with it. Here's a cage that I'm making. It's going to be a prison. Anyways, I have a hard time staying under the 10 minutes because I always go off on tangents like that. The best glue for doing this stuff, Weld Bond. White glue works just, well, no, it doesn't work just as well, but this is dang good glue. Good glue. It's the one I use all the time, just because then I never have to worry about it falling apart anymore. I've lost a few customers over the years building stuff with, you know, trying to use different types of glues. Weld Bond will always work. The longer it sits, the harder it gets. It'll dry clear. You can make streams and water effects using this stuff. It works really good. You can actually use it for making decals. You know, like take a picture in a magazine, and you coat it with, you know, thin layers of this stuff. You have to let it dry in between each layer, and you have to use about 10 or 15 layers. But then after, you soak it in water, and you can peel the paper off the back, and the ink will stick to this, and then you take that and you stick it on your piece. You can make neat decals. Anyways, if you buy a big jug of it, it gives you all the instructions for that stuff. Okay? So as you can see, I'm just gluing it together and sticking it on that piece of hardboard that we had cut off. Okay? Now, don't worry about the gap in the crack there, because we're going to fill that after with something else. Okay, and this actually has to harden. Just going to put one other piece right here just to kind of fill off the room. Okay, now on this piece here, which you didn't see me cut the bricks on, I'm going to show you the little piece there. Okay, See along the edges of the brakes here? I cut